we're sort of like the on-ramp onto the freeway, right? We let people onto the expressway. And then when you're on, you get to choose the car, the lane, and the speed you want to go. Now, we recommend you wear a seatbelt, pay attention to the guide rails and other drivers, but like that's what self-directed IRAs are. That you can invest into stocks and real estate and digital assets.
On today's show, we have Kevin Maloney, the Chief Strategy Officer of iTrustCapital. We're going to discuss details about the company, understand more on crypto tax benefits, and why a self-directed IRA might be the best option for you. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Joe, thanks for having me. Great to connect.
Well, definitely on crypto Twitter lately, there's been a lot about this 87,000 armed agents coming for everybody for not paying taxes. So I'm sure we want some legal strategies on how to minimize our tax bill. And obviously, when it comes to the IRA, it's one of the legal things here in the US. And so let's hit on, what does iTrustCapital do?
Yeah, thank you. So iTrustCapital, it is a crypto IRA platform. We did win some awards for that, for innovating in this space and leading this space. Last year, we were recognized by a pretty solid group that said, you guys are doing it the right way. There's a lot of good players out there. We have a lot of respect for some of the competitors. We speak to them, and we think there's a couple really ethical options out there. It's amazing that, look, there's roughly $37 trillion in investable retirement assets out there in America, which is the market we're addressing. I would say about 13 trillion of that is held within IRAs. And the IRA, an individual retirement account, simply allows you to invest into all different types of assets with certain tax advantages. Now, we're not tax consultants. We don't give tax advice. We're not a broker dealer. We're not an RIA. We don't make recommendations. We don't even take commissions. But we do have a platform that allows people to invest in a self-directed IRA where they choose the assets and the dollar amounts they want to participate with. Now, there's certain rules around traditional Roth and SEP IRAs, but you can open up one or more on our platform. And there are some great tax advantages to doing that.
And how long has iTrustCapital been around in the space here?
So we were started in July 18. Our platform launched about a year later, July 19th. We spent about $1 million in friends and family seed capital building the platform. And that year, 6 months, we did 14,000 revenue. We were so excited. And then the next year, we did about 3 million in 2020. And at the end of 2020, we had 4,000 client-funded accounts. 2021 was a great year. We definitely rode the crypto wave, as we think a lot of Americans sat home during COVID and were very crypto curious, right? And they said, look, I don't understand all of this, but I understand I might want to participate at some level. And so we don't want to see people bet the farm, but people are allocating certain percentages that they feel comfortable towards crypto. And that year really showed that was our sort of rocket ship year. That sort of really proved the business model. And that year we opened up 25,000 client funded accounts and did nearly 50 million in revenue, which was incredible, and generated pretty massive, attractive profits. So that was really the big year. And here we are in 2022. The markets have changed, but growth is still happening. We can dive into that if you want, but yeah.
We're in a little bit of bear market, but it's build time, right?
Yeah. I mean, actually today we put out an announcement. It's public information. And, we just surpassed our 6 billion in transaction mark, which means transaction volume. People in their self-directed IRA, they bought or sold $6 billion worth of crypto assets since inception. That's amazing. So clearly there's interest and curiosity. People want a product like this. And there's risk, of course, with any investment, especially crypto. It's very, it can be volatile, as we all know. But it is amazing to see that we've had 200% transaction volume growth. We did 2 billion in transactions since inception up to last July. And in 1 year and 1 month, actually, we did another 200%, so 6 billion. And the client accounts, which I mentioned last year, ended around 25,000. We're up over 40,000 right now. So we saw not only transaction volume growth, but newly funded account growth, which is interesting in this market, given the compressed sort of situation we're in right now. Is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? I don't know. But people are participating in the market, and that's what we like to see.
Isn't that always a good time to buy if the future is bright?
Exactly.
So when it comes to licenses and compliance, what do you guys got to adhere to there?
So, we are not a broker dealer. We're not a registered investment advisor. We have a registered trust company that we work closely with. And we think there is more regulation coming and we welcome it. We have spent millions of dollars on the legal and compliance side and the structure to get it right. And in our opinion, to set legal precedents and lead from a position of excellence. So I think a couple things that are exciting to me is that when we get more transparency and access to information on these projects, and we get more clarity from the regulators, whether it's the SEC, FINRA, or CFTC, then I think that'll give comfort to the working professionals, Americans out there. And then I think when we combine that with more access to educational information, I think people will really appreciate that. In fact, there's a study out there from Gemini, I believe. It was 30,000 respondents. And they said the two biggest factors prohibiting growth and adoption are regulatory clarity and education. And we agree with that. And we send surveys out to our 40,000 plus clients and ask them for feedback, candid feedback. What are we doing unique, better, different? What can we improve on? What other products and asset classes should we consider adding? And what are your concerns? Safety, security, peace of mind are really paramount, and easy to use, low cost platforms are critical for mass adoption, especially people like me that aren't crypto experts. I'm very crypto curious, but we wanted a platform that our parents and our siblings could use and understand. And so that's what we tried to build. And we're still improving that because we get a lot of great feedback. Certainly not perfect.
Well, for everyone out there that's listening to this and they're here in the US and maybe they don't have even used their retirement accounts before, let's start there, right? They don't even maybe know what a self-directed IRA account is. Can you kind of explain that and also maybe the steps they would need to take to convert their existing account over?
Yes. So we do get quite a few rollovers. So we are a crypto IRA platform, which means we're really just a software platform that allow people to invest into digital assets, digital currencies. There's about 29 of them, utility tokens through our platform. There are thousands that you can invest in. We're pretty conservative in our approach. We don't recommend securities. We don't take commissions. We don't pay commissions. We don't manage the money. We work very closely with our custodian, and our custodian holds insurance with Lloyd's of London. And the account setup is simple. You need a name and email address, right? And then you got to fund an account, which requires a US ID. You need to be over 18, and electing ultimately how to fund your account via rollover from a 401k when you leave a company, a transfer from another IRA, or a cash distribution. We don't have minimum fees. We used to have a $29.99 a month fee. And we think actually that probably kept some millennials at bay because our demographic actually ended up being 40 to 65-year-old working professionals with $50,000 plus account balances. And we thought, geez, we thought the early fanatical adopters would be the millennials, but it turns out a lot of us want free things, and we think that fee actually kept them at bay. We dropped that fee when we launched our 2.0 of our platform because we could handle more volume of accounts now. We got really efficient at the way we were onboarding people. So we dropped the account fee. We dropped the account minimum. I think it's $1,000 minimum now with maybe a $500 minimum first contribution. And we opened up the floodgates for more of the masses to participate. Now, we don't have thousands of coins to choose from. There's about 30. We continue to add those frequently after review and diligence and our comfort from a compliance level to make sure they do meet the utility token description, because we don't want to offer security tokens. We're not in a position to do so at this time. We're really careful. And we are also, when we talk about differentiators, we give people access. We give people access to real live voices and people. We try to respond to emails. We return phone calls. And we wanted to create a brand and awareness around the opportunity for people to participate in the blockchain economy if they choose, and do it in a way that is safe and secure. So our vision is to revolutionize the way we onboard people. And I'll just use a silly analogy that we're sort of like the on-ramp onto the freeway, right? We let people onto the expressway. And then when you're on, you get to choose the car, the lane, and the speed you want to go. Now, we recommend you wear a seatbelt, pay attention to the guide rails and other drivers, but that's what self-directed IRAs are. That you can invest into stocks and real estate and and digital assets. Ours is digital assets only. However, we are looking at adding other things down the road based on client feedback. So that's what we do well, and that's our mission. We want to inspire and empower others to participate at levels they feel comfortable with, right? Don't bet the farm. There are plenty of risks, but we want to at least provide a safe, secure platform with a good client experience. If there's a problem, you can reach us, we'll respond. And we take that pretty seriously.
All right. And then, when it comes to the pairs you guys choose to put on the platform, you mentioned the vetting process for utility and everything, but how do you guys add new pairs, and what can people expect in the next year?
Yeah. So, there's a committee, actually, the coin committee, and we kind of sit down on a monthly basis and talk about certain projects that look interesting. I would personally like to have a few more of the top 50 coins out there. We've got 29. We're pretty slow and conservative in our approach to checking the boxes to make sure that the team, the token, the utility aspects of it are legit. And even then, we've all sort of, been wrong before. Of course, we're not perfect. We need to measure 5 times and cut once on our side. And then we also recommend people do their own due diligence on the actual teams behind the projects, understanding the potential value creation of the project, the risk, of course, and then how the utility aspect works. There's some other great tokens out there that I would like to see on our platform. We did avoid some coins that had some challenges, and we're thankful for that, whether it was good timing, good luck, good decisions. I can't take credit for all 3 of those, but we did avoid some potential catastrophes, and that was great for us. But we need to continue to vet those very carefully. There's 5 to 10 aspects that we look at, and then we send it out to our compliance team. We've got 2 outside law firms and several inside counsel with the general counsel that look carefully at these metrics. So while we're passionate about certain teams and projects, and we got to have it up there, and our clients are really voicing their opinions on that as well, we've got to check some boxes, because ultimately it's about doing the right thing for the client.
Everyone wants to be a degen, and they want a lot more pairs to gamble with on these platforms. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, they do. And we get a lot of great feedback, and we're thankful for the feedback, because people are super candid and transparent about what they want and don't want. And we see it on Twitter. You can't hide those things, and we address each one of those. And we try to respond to anything that is adverse to what clients want to see or feel, whether it's on Twitter. And like I said, I love social channels because it's out there. You can't hide it. That's what it's all about, transparency. If you treat people well and you give them access to information, they'll tell you what they like and don't like. And if you give them access to real people, if there's a problem, it gives them a little bit of comfort when there could be cause for concern.
So you're basically saying more companies should be looking at their social channels to have an understanding of how to better serve their customers, right?
You're not going to love everything you see, but it is out there. There are more fanatical voices out there than others, but we do try to respond to all of them. We take it seriously. Trustpilot review scores, I think we've got over 2,200 of those at near 4.5 stars. And that's meaningful to us. It's concerning when competitors or other big cash payment platforms are 1-star rating, and we've all lost a few dollars here and there along the way. And it's just disheartening when you can't get an email or phone call back. And so we think that's an easy differentiator. Let's give people access. Let's tell them what we're charging and be transparent about it. And we think that gives the working professionals, older demographic of 40 to 60-year-olds, a little bit more comfort, because they're not as fanatical and they don't have as much time to understand and appreciate as much about the team or the project potential.
Now, from the educational standpoint, do you guys point customers in certain directions, or do you guys do any monthly webinars?
So we have an amazing female spokesperson for us. She does a lot of video content, and we built a small studio, and she's incredibly insightful and very upbeat, and but also real, right? We're not going out with promissory hyperbole out there, because we're not making recommendations, but we do try to offer a female and male perspective on certain features and benefits of the site. And we do work closely with a lot of our influencer relationships and their passionate followers about getting the word out there. In fact, that's kind of how we grew in the beginning. Todd built, one of the co-founders, built the technology platform. Blake, the other co-founder, onboarded, as I mentioned, the first 2,500 clients, 10 hours a day, every day on the phone. walking them through the process. That's what he did. And that's why we built it, to just deliver a better experience. And we went out to influencers early on and said, look, this is what we have that we think is unique, better, and different. We'd love for you to sign up. Tell us about your experience. We'd love to, based on your feedback, we'll try to iterate quickly and deliver an experience that's closer to 5-star than 1-star. And so the influencers on YouTube, per se, and others that weren't bloviating, right? This is how great I am. You can't lose on this coin. Go big tomorrow. We were finding people that were what we thought more professional in their approach, not using promissory hyperbole, which is dangerous, and really just trying to offer insights and perspective. And so we aligned with those folks on the sort of educational side as well.
No, that's great. We've done some webinars, and some of the first questions we get is, how do we choose which assets, right? I'm sure if you have a lot of those 40, 60-year-olds coming in, their first thing is, how do we choose which ones to invest in?
That's correct.
And that's still something everybody in the industry is still trying to learn based on the network effects. But I was curious to see, how you guys kind of bring that value to them.
And while we're super passionate about crypto and the potential, look, we always say, like I said earlier, don't bet the farm, don't put all your eggs in one basket, diversify, and measure 5 times and cut once. The reason we love partnering with some of these influencers is because we do like their approach to educating the followers out there that are curious about crypto. There's a lot of crypto curious people out there, right? I'm one of those crypto curious people. I'm sort of like the crypto dad. I coach baseball. I love to barbecue, but I'm not an expert, right? I'm more of a traditional finance background. And, but we want the experience to be there, and we want it to be there with all of the regulatory sort of framework in place when we get more clarity. So we're already acting like there's going to be more regulatory clarity, and we welcome it. But the influencers we like and appreciate and align with, they dive into the projects, they dive into the teams of these projects, and they sometimes pontificate about the potential and also the risk. And we think it's better to hear from those, because we don't want to look or feel like we're promoting any single asset.
Obviously, in the crypto market, there's been some companies that have blown up recently, and so everyone's a little leery on where to place their capital. So from like a security standpoint, how are you guys doing things differently? And so our listeners can understand how these assets are maybe held in custody and how they're safe and not being maybe sent some other place.
Yeah. So security is something we look at very carefully. It's a paramount concern, and preservation of capital is everything to every one of us. So we had a sort of domain hijack incident where no assets were at risk, but we had someone get in through our domain host and mess around with our DNS. Fortunately, we took immediate steps to cut off certain conduits, and we were able to address that immediately. And it was very transparent. We came out. Now, look, we were still trying to address what was going on the first, 48 hours. It went a couple of days. I think it went 3 or 4 days. We got it up and running. Nobody lost a dime. And we don't believe any assets were ever at risk, because we took proper steps and spoke immediately with our custodians. And we have sort of done this fire drill before, but there's always an angle you can't anticipate. So while, knock on wood, we've never had any assets at risk, it's very difficult to get money out of an IRA. You can't just hack into my account and send it to your Bitcoin wallet somewhere else. We speak to these people. There's video confirmation. There's bank accounts already on record, and there's no payment platform. You cannot go to another wallet one way out and never get it back. So that's one thing that is beneficial with the IRA platforms. But security is critical, and we continue to look at that. We hired security experts to evaluate other potential areas of risk, and it's something that we'll never have to stop doing, because people will always think we have billions of dollars here in cash in our office, which we don't. We don't even touch the cash, right? We never touch the cash. It's all in a custody. That's the purpose of the IRA, is that it's an individual retirement account that, if you abide by the ERISA Act of 1974, I believe, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, you have to have third-party custody. You cannot self-custody. We work with custodians to also assist in that effort. And so we work every day on the security side. But yeah, we don't want to see our competitors go down to security issues. One of our competitors had an issue. They were down for 7 days last summer. We actually went on record saying that's not good for any of us. And we actually think they're great guys and super ethical. And so that hurts all of us. And there's been other tech breaches. There's been other bankruptcies, not in IRAs, fortunately, but with these other large name companies that you may have mentioned or alluded to, that's not good for anyone either. We had the heyday of the ICOs, in 2017, 18. We saw a little bit of bad behavior, bad actors participating in bad business models, and even decent actors trying to do the right thing in a bad business model, right? You can have a good actor and a bad business model that still hurts investors. That's not good for any of us. However, I do think it is starting to weed people out. I think with the market compressed, you can start to see what business models are viable and sustainable and which ones aren't. Whether there's a bad actor or a good actor behind it, some models eventually, you can't hide the crazy, right? If you live with someone, work with someone, or travel with someone enough, eventually you're going to see the crazy, and the bad business model will come out, right?
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that. It's not good for investors, but I do think with time and a little bit of clarity from the regulators, that investors will feel more confident over the next 2 to 4 years. And I think we'll see another $1 trillion. I know that's a big number, and 1 billion new participants globally participate in the blockchain economy over the next 3 to 5 years. I know those are big numbers, but I do think we'll see more of that, again, with education, transparency, and more regulatory scrutiny.
Besides buying these spot pairs, do you guys offer any type of staking services?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we just launched staking in DOT, went out to a small beta group of passionate transactors, people that enjoy transacting on our platform. And we went out and we were surprised by the uptake. It was immediately, let me check my stats, I think about 27%, 25 to 27% of our entire DOT holdings went into staking. And simply put, for those out there that aren't fanatical crypto experts, staking is a way of earning rewards for holding certain cryptocurrencies, right? If a cryptocurrency allows staking, you can stake some of your holdings and earn a percentage rate, reward over time. And this usually happens via staking pool, which you can think of as being similar to an interest-bearing sort of savings account. There's risk in everything, but it's not lending. There was other companies lending your crypto assets, and this is staking. You're just staking it, and for certain transactions occurring, you get a small reward. So there's some great information out there. Coinbase has some great descriptions out there on staking and others, but that's something we just dove into, and we offered that just a few weeks ago. And that's our first asset to stake, DOT, Polkadot. And we've got thousands of clients enrolled in that. It's pretty simple. If you go on the platform, it'll give you an option if you are a DOT holder. And that, again, represents about 25% of the DOT on our platform. There's open enrollment. There's no cap. And going forward, we're going to look carefully at adding other, stakeable tokens. Right now, what do we take, by the way? We get 20% of the staking rewards. We think that's fair. And currently, DOT is offering up to 9.5% APY to clients. So it's an attractive rate, but it's different than lending, right? And there's still risk, but staking's not the same as lending. People sometimes get confused.
And so what else do you guys have on your roadmap, maybe over the next 12 months you could share with us that you guys plan on rolling out?
Yeah, so we've had actually some great partnership meetings. Look, we have a great brand, iTrustCapital. We've spent a lot of time and effort organically, guerrilla marketing, and aligning with certain influencers and certain other brands to really get our trusted brand out there. And we need to continue to, cultivate and curate our experience and the brand. So we've had a lot of great discussions recently around potential partnerships outside of crypto to augment, accelerate, or de-risk being just all in on crypto. So we're looking at other partners that have security options like potentially stocks, ETFs, a fractionalized real estate ownership. We're evaluating options. And of course, going back to our philosophy and approach of measure 5 times, cut once, we want to make sure that we're evaluating options, we're listening to our clients, and we're giving them what they're asking for, but we also need to make sure it's regulatory compliant and it's also safe and secure in the way we do that and seamlessly integrated. So yeah, we welcome discussions with partners that have products or tools or resources, services that can benefit our clients. Because look, we're good at a couple things, but we're not great or pretend to be amazing at everything. So we like to partner with good folks that understand where there's potential, a fair fee, involved so that clients are getting benefit and value, and there's diversity to choose from.
All right. So where would you like listeners to go learn more about you if they wanted to get signed up today?
Yeah, thanks again for having us. It's just always great to have a conversation with people. And so iTrustCapital.com is our website. There's a lot of information there. There's a whole education section. There's multiple videos. You can go on YouTube also and find one of our spokespersons explaining how IRAs work. I think she does a phenomenal job, super professional and articulate about just educating people. And so, look, there's a lot of options out there. And there's a couple really great companies with ethical groups out there doing the right thing. And we also think that competition's great. And we also know that the pie is big enough. Of the 37 trillion in retirement assets, there's about 13 trillion in IRA accounts held in the US by US IRA holders. And we've brought in a couple $1 billion, right? So there's so much more to go. I just want to go back to the basics. And as the IRS starts to scrutinize gains from crypto assets and those that may or may not be paying taxes and how they go after collecting that, we just want to remind people, whether it's iTrust or others, that there are options for investing into certain digital assets through IRA platforms that have certain tax advantages. We're not tax consultants. We don't give tax advice. Some taxes may apply, but there are tax advantages within any IRA platform if you do it by the book. So find one that is transparent, will give you access to people in the event of an issue, and find the one that isn't overcharging. And that, if you get that vision, culture, and economic alignment, those are three major boxes to check. And there's a few good options out there, and we'd like to be considered as one of them.
All right, for everyone listening, go check out iTrustCapital. Kevin, thank you for joining us today. Until next time.
Thank you, Joe. Great to connect. I'd love to chat again soon.
The Joe Roberts Show.